Dacha How, Wosha Michael Larson, Wosha Nieman Depungu. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Larson from BBC IML, and this is a Moment with Mike. So, I talked a little bit last night about how I had gotten into the car business and that kind of trip, but I want to talk a little bit about that. The first day in the car business, I went out on the lot and didn't know what I was doing. I had gone through some training that a few days before that, but I got thrown right out on the car lot right away and didn't really know what I was doing. So I just went out there and started talking to people, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I wound up selling 2 cars that day. My first day out, I sold 2 cars, and wow, that was great. And I was the hero of the day. The fresh guy gets out there and sells 2 cars right away. And I thought, well, this is going to be easy. And I knew that there was other people, other salesmen on the lot that were selling 25, 30 cars per month. And I thought, well, there's 22 about sales days in a month. So if I average 2 a day, that's 44. I thought, well, this is going to be easy. So the next day I went out, and I was smarter that day. I went out there and took what we called a fresh up. And that one, boy, that didn't go too well. I couldn't even get them to take a look at a car. I thought, well, I guess I didn't, it was the wrong people on that one. And so I wound up getting another up that day. And same thing, I started talking to them and stuff, and couldn't get past the initial hellos, and they said they were just looking, and they wound up driving off the lot. Well, I guess that those people just weren't ready to buy. And another up, and again I failed that day. So at the end of the day, I was thinking, well, I just had three bad people that day. It'll be better tomorrow. And the next day, same thing. I went out there, got a couple of fresh ups, but couldn't get anywhere with any of them. And end of the day, I'm like, well, I just the other salespeople are getting luckier than I am. That's why they're selling. They're getting the right clients, and I made excuses for myself. And another day went by, and another day went by, and another day went by. And I wasn't selling, and man, I was starting to get a little down on myself now. I was thinking, well, did I get into the wrong field? I'd always been very good in sales and anything I had done, but I was really struggling here, and starting to get a little bit frustrated with myself. And the month went by, and I did scratch out 6 cars that first month, which was disappointing because there was 30 salespeople in that group, and I was towards the bottom of that 30, and I wasn't used to being there. So the next month I thought, well, I'm going to get to 25 cars this month, and that's just a little over 1 a day. And the first day went by and didn't get one. I said, well, I'm still okay. Next day went by, and other people were selling them, and I didn't get anything. And I said, well, I'll get to that 25. Well, maybe the other people at the 25 or 30, maybe I need to back off of that a little bit. And another day went by, and I didn't sell anything. And now I'm really starting to get frustrated with myself. So I thought back, and I thought, well, what's happening to me? What's going on? Why am I not getting to what I want to do? What is it about other times? And what happened that first day that worked for me that doesn't seem to be working now? Well, the first day, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just went out and I greeted people, and I got to know them, and I told them, this is my first day. And it was funny because they would kind of help me through that. So I made a determination that I was going to go out that next day, and I was just going to make some friends, and I was going to be happy with that. And I did. I went out that day, and I made a couple of friends, and I didn't sell anything that day, but I was happy with that momentum I had gotten from that day. I had made a couple of friends, and I did that for a couple of days and just made some friends. And then I said, well, okay, so what's the next step in the sales process? I made friends, so now what I need to do is I need to find out what it is that they're there for and what they'd like to accomplish that day. And if I can get that out of them, I'd be happy with that. So I made went out, I made friends. I went out and found out what it is that they wanted to accomplish, and I found out what their pain points were. And I did a great job with that and got them to a point where maybe we should have some commitment, and I failed. And I failed. But I was happy with what I'd done. I had gotten through the two of the steps that you need to in order to. So the next day I figured I would get to the next point and I would get some commitment out of them, and I would be happy with that. And I did. I went out there, I got through, I got rapport built, I got to know these people, I got a few pain points, and then I got a commitment. But I didn't quite get the sales that day. But I stayed focused, and I said, well, the next day, now I got to turn this commitment into a sale, and I have to figure out how to, and when I can do that, I'll be happy. And that next day I went out and I wound up getting 2 sales again. And from that point on, I became a much better salesperson. And I wound up getting up to an average of 20 cars per month. And that pushed me along in the car business, and I moved up and I became a finance director. Well, first I became a lease manager, then I became a finance director. But I never forgot what I learned from that. As frustrating as that was, and there was some very frustrating days, and sometimes I wanted to quit, but I stuck with it. And what I learned from that was I was biting off too much. I was biting off something I didn't even believe I was capable of at that time. Now, I was capable of doing it. I just didn't believe I was. So I kept sabotaging myself. See, when we try to get beyond, what I learned from this, I was trying to get beyond what I felt I was capable of. It was great to say that I was going to get to 25 cars, but I actually didn't believe it in my own mind. And I would sabotage myself because I wasn't comfortable with being there yet. So when I went back and I just made friends, and then I celebrated making friends, and now I believed I could do that part of it. And my level went up. It was first I had to have the faith that I could do it. Then I had to get the belief I could do it. And I had to stretch that belief a little bit, and I had to go around, and then I had to celebrate once I got a result I wanted. And then the next day, I bit off a little bit more. And I believed I could do the next step, which was getting pain points, finding out what were they there for, what were they hoping to accomplish. And I achieved that. And I believed just a little bit more in myself. And then the next day I got commitment. And I told myself that when I get to that point, I'm going to celebrate, I'm going to feel good about myself. And I did. And my belief went up a little bit more. And then I went to the next day and I got sales. And I celebrated that. And now I was starting to believe it. And from that point on, I could sell. And I believed in myself. I believed I could do it. I was actually at that level. And once you get to that level and you believe you're there, you will live up to what you believe. See, before that, I didn't even believe I was there. So I was living up to what I believed. I was failing. I didn't believe I could actually get to that point, and I was failing. So I had to take it small steps at a time. And that's often what we've done in life. And before that point in my life, I had often done that, where I had these big dreams, and all I could focus on was that big dream, and I didn't think about all the little steps in between there. And I would often not get to where I wanted to be. And after that point, that really changed my life. And to this day, I've learned how to do that. See, if we believe that we are on a scale of 1 to 10, if we believe we're only a 5, then anything that is above 5 makes us uncomfortable and will sabotage ourselves to keep from getting there. But if we try to jump right from that 5 to the 10, you'll never get there. But if you stretch it a little bit and you give yourself a celebration at the end of that, and you get to a 6 first, now you believe you're at a 6. And then you get to a 7, and then you get to an 8, but celebrate each time. Your belief system goes up just a little bit each time. That's called momentum. See, until we build momentum, until we've had something we succeed in, and we can see that we succeed, and we get belief in ourselves, we can't ask ourselves for change. You cannot ask yourself for change until you believe you can. And that's what momentum comes from. And momentum falls into everything. Good leaders can create momentum. Great leaders can continue momentum. That's the difference between a good leader and a great leader. If you cannot create momentum, you haven't even created the basic of leadership. And leadership is also leading ourselves. That's the first thing we should do, is we need to learn how to lead ourselves. If you can lead yourself knowing what all your weaknesses are, and you can learn to get by that and learn to grow from that, you can lead anybody. But you got to start there. You got to understand who you are first. And you got to figure out how to increase your own belief system, because we're capable of anything. We can do anything. But that's what I learned from all that. And it was the pain that I went through. I don't think I could have gotten any of that done if I hadn't gone through that. In fact, I know I couldn't have. For years before that, I was always just satisfied for being the average. And at that point, I realized that I could achieve anything I wanted to. I just had to build my momentum slowly so my belief system went up. And once your belief system goes up, you will achieve right to your belief system. But it's very difficult. You can stretch a little bit over that, but it's very difficult to get beyond that. So you first have to increase your belief system before you're going to achieve your ultimate goals. And once you figure that out, once you figure out how to do that, you can do anything. The sky is the limit. So I hope this finds you well tonight. I hope you have a super fantastic day. This has been A Moment with Mike. Look for me on here. Well, first of all, go to my page, Inspired Motivated Leadership in Facebook, and like it. That would help me out greatly so I can continue to do these kind of messages for people. I want to touch as many people as I can. I'd like to help as many people get to what they're capable as possible. And that's the goal here. So like me on Facebook, and every night I'm going to have a 7 o'clock live on here. We also have InspiredMotivatedLeadership.com. I would love to hear your feedback. I'd love to get ideas of things you'd like me to talk about. I've been through a lot of different scenarios in business over the years, and I'll at least give you my idea and keep people thinking about how they can achieve in their lives. So share with me anything that you'd like me to talk about would be great. Either message me on Messenger if you're already a friend of mine on Facebook, or Inspired Motivated Leadership, the Facebook page, or you can email me at mike@inspiredmotivatedleadership.com. So have a super fantastic evening. I've got a lot of good people on here. I see Chad Lennox, Sue Graff, Sel, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Glenn's, Robert Kessler. I see Lynn's on there. Petrus Nell is on there. Thank you for joining me. And we will talk to you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Have a super fantastic evening.